you ever wondered what would happen if the Prime Titans replaced Dom's Titans in the Skibidi Multiverse? How would this change affect the Alliance? And in general, how would it change the entire story? So, without any further ado, let's get right to it. The first noticeable thing that changed was the number of Titans available. Now, there are only 3 Prime Titans that we have seen so far, so that's what we are going to use against the threats. But in order to make it more interesting, we can't just throw in the OP Prime Titans at the start of the episodes, as it would clearly be unfair. So, we have to imagine a base form of the Prime Titans. I wonder what they would look like, but they would be the ones going up against the Skibidis. The first threat they faced was the Astros and the Skibidis plot to infect them. So, Metal Drill and Prime Cam would be the ones fighting against the Astros. Despite being in their base forms with limited energy reserves and all that, I don't think they'll be able to infect them, as they literally crush the entire Astro fleet and clear the base of mutants. With this, there would be no need for any rescue mission, as no Titans were infected. But the toilets wouldn't just give up like that. The scientist would start a full-scale invasion against the Alliance, and the clock base would be attacked, which would prompt the clock boss to summon the base Prime Clock Titan. But the difference would be that his energy reserves would be reduced. Despite this, he's still able to clear the base even before reinforcements arrive. The scientist sees that there's a new big boy in town and works to create something to counter him. And that's where the Magnet Mutant would be born. He ambushes Prime Clock while in battle. Since they had tried to infect the others but it didn't seem to work, they tried on the clock. But the effects of the magnet are not too potent on him, despite the fact that he has low energy reserves. So he goes on to literally bully the scientist and the mutant to the extent they have to retreat from the battlefield. But he doesn't give up yet. The Skibidis would be working on something, and it'll be a big threat to the Alliance. Meanwhile, at a particular base, the base Titans are fighting hard. Remember, the drill race and others don't exist in this scenario, so there are no extra hands for them. They'll have to muscle through on their own. While in battle, the scientist comes in. He looks quite happy to see them, but beneath that smile is menace, and he drops a bombshell. Suddenly, the Titans stop fighting, like something is wrong. Then they start struggling with something that seems internal. Yes, the scientist has the ultimate weapon to infect them, a virus. This computer virus hacks into their systems, and we all know they are robots, so it's quite understandable. While in this struggle, before the virus completely takes over them, Prime Clock manages to rewind time, setting himself free. But the virus has completely taken over his 2 friends, and they are now fighting against him. He manages to take control of Metal Drill by pinning him down and rewinding time for him. But before he could do the same for Prime Cam, the latter had already gotten away with the scientist. Damn, now they risk being infected again. They narrowly escaped this one. The Alliance has to do something fast. At the base, there's confusion. How do they fight against a virus? They run an analysis on the system and are able to determine what happened. Now, they need an antivirus for Prime Cam and a vaccine that would make them strong against the virus. Although they were able to repair damaged parts of their bodies due to intense battles, after the vaccination they'll carry on with their plan to capture and disinfect Prime Cam. But it's not going to be that easy. While the Alliance is in battle at a particular base, they get info about the scientist, and he's seen with the Pennywise toilet. So they move on to this base, but there's no sign of Prime Cam. It seems the scientist is hiding him from them. They'll have to capture the scientist to get his location. So they charge at him, transforming, and the battle rages on, with them bullying the scientist and Metal Drill literally crushing the Pennywise toilet to dust in rage. The scientist notices that they are now resistant, as when he tries to infect them with little parasites carrying the virus, it doesn't seem to work. So he calls in Prime Cam to aid him. Here's their chance to disinfect him, and they have to act fast. The scientist sees that he's clearly overpowered, so he teleports out of the battlefield, leaving behind the infected Prime Cam. Prime Clock is able to hold him in time, thereby immobilizing him, giving Metal Drill the chance to insert the antivirus, which clears the malware, freeing Prime Cam from captivity. Now that the scientist's plan has failed, he goes back to the base. Should he create a new virus? They need something the Alliance would not be able to fight against. So they get to work. Toilets at the base bring info about a mysterious woman who visited them and is asking to see the scientist. An alliance is formed between them. They'll have to work together to beat the Alliance softly. They plan to attack the clock base, this time in a full-scale invasion, while Alpha infiltrates to get the boss and weaken them. The unsuspecting clocks were just having a nice day when hell broke loose. There were toilets everywhere in an invasion they had never seen before. The Titans arrive and start clearing the base of the toilets and mutants, but they just keep coming. This was the scientist plan, to weaken them, and it worked. When they saw that it had taken a toll on them, the Scientist and Alpha show up. Alpha summons the Counter-Titan. This time, they'll still have to protect themselves. The battle rages on, with the Counter-Titan replicating their weapons and using them against them. Soon, they notice they're being overpowered due to their energy reserves and countless battles. They have to retreat, so they scramble away, leaving the base to the Skibidis. Before Alpha invades, the clock agents had also retreated with the helicopter, and the boss prompted them to leave without him. If they focus on him, they won't shoot down the helicopter. The boss stays back to fight Alpha, but the alarm clock man isn't on the flight too. So, when the battle begins, he dampens his powers due to the future Clockman's plan to give them the illusion of winning, while the Titans get upgrades at a secret base. They have to sacrifice the clock boss to buy time for them. The Skibidis are happy as they finally have victory and have taken over the clock base. They would now be planning to attack the rest of the Alliance bases. Meanwhile, at the secret base, the Titans get their final upgrades and their energy reserves are finally enhanced. Now, they can go back to take back the base. So, they move with a full fleet of forces, including the agents. They storm the base and meet the Counter-Titan. And yeah, this time it'll be different as they attack him from all angles. In an epic battle, Prime Clock is able to stop the Counter-Titan in time, giving them the chance to literally pounce him down to pieces, not even sparing him. Alpha sees this and tries to escape, but she's caught and eventually smoked. When they look for the Scientist, he has already left Alpha for dead and retreated from the battlefield to carry out the ultimate plan they've been working on. The Alliance is quite happy for taking back the base, but unknown to them, the Skibidis are working on something very massive, the G-Man apocalypse. But soon, the info about this leaks out and they'll have to go on a mission to stop it from unleashing. But the Skibidis put in place threats to stall them. When they get to the base, they're met by 3 mutants, which they just bully their way through. But before they move on, they're met with the 02 mutant, and he's not smiling at them. He goes on to attack them. The battle rages on. But not only that, 01 joins in. Since the motive is to buy time, these mutants just continue taking their hits until they can no longer. That's how the Skibidis bring out both 04 and 5, buying even more time. While they are in battle, their time is exhausted, and the G-Man apocalypse unleashes. They are quite terrified at the sight of this fortress. How are they expected to fight against this? Well, the plan is for the agents to infiltrate the base and fight it internally, which they do, and they are able to open the door for the others to get in. But just as they are about to get in, Prime Clock gets a vision. The Sinister is finally on the loose and goes to check out the site. There, he meets up with the Sinister, and it doesn't turn out friendly as he's attacked. Meanwhile, inside the body of the G-Man apocalypse, Metal Drill and Prime Cam are met with G-Man. And yeah, you see how this duo is able to literally crush G-Man to pieces, as they are not joking around. After defeating G-Man, they go back to help Prime Clock. But before they get there, the Sinister has already defeated him and kept the time nuke to destroy the multiverse. But Prime Clock uses his last power to teleport with the time nuke out of the battlefield, saving the entire multiverse from annihilation. However, this doesn't mean they've taken care of all the threats, which means the Sinister can invade at any time. So they have to be ready whenever that happens. However, check out this video to see what would happen if the Clock Titan got replaced by the Monster Up Clock Titan. Unique Clockman out.